Welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video I'll be sharing with you my summer DIYs. All the items you see, most of the items you see are from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start off with my easiest project, painting the beach plaque, and I used the blue paint from the Dollar Tree, which actually turned out really well. I liked it. Once it dried, I did sand it down because I wanted it to have that rustic vibe to it. I really wanted it to seem like it came from like a beach house, that kind of vibe. Anyways, before that I did paint those beads that I got from the Dollar Tree, and you see that in the corner. I painted those white, and I painted the starfish blue, and then I sanded down the starfish, and it came out like that, and you see it in the corner, but I lost footage to that. Anyways, so right now what I'm doing is cutting the mesh because I'm going to use it on the B and the H, and I just measured it and then cut it. Now when I stick this on, what I'm first going to do is paint it with Mod Podge, and that's a type of glue, and I'm just going to coat it completely, the B, and then first I start with the B and then I go for the H, and then what I do though is I have to hold down the mesh, and I have to hold it down for a couple minutes, maybe like a minute or so, because it will pop off. It's not going to stay down by itself. I have to hold it down, but it does end up sticking to the plaque. And then it also the white from the Mod Podge, it ends up fading away and then return into the color that you painted it, like the blue. So then it blends in. But yeah, first the only tricky part is holding it down so it will stick. And once it dried, I then cut the extra mesh around the letters, and I like how it turned out because it did come out a little bit messy, but it makes it look more like it was washed ashore, and I like how it turned out. DIY number 2. So all I did was grab this wallpaper sticker from the Dollar Tree, and I reused my beach plaque, and I wanted it to give it a different look, and all I did was flip it over so then I'd be able to trace the E, the A, and the C. So I'm only tracing 3 of the letters, and this is where I kind of made marks where I want to make my cuts. And in order to cut out the middle part of the E and the A, I did poke a hole. So I made my mark, and then I poked where my mark was, and then I was able to cut around it so I can make the circular shapes. If that makes any sense, I'm not sure. But once I was done with that, I just simply cut it out. To give the beads a different look too, and I simply did the same thing. I used the wallpaper sticker and I traced the stars and I cut them out. So this is how it turned out, and I love the new look, and this is how it is right now in my bathroom. And also I wanted to share with you that Dollar Tree has these little jars of seashells. I thought they were cute and I had to grab them. Okay, DIY number 3. All these items you see right now are from the Dollar Tree, and the only thing that I used that wasn't from the Dollar Tree was the construction paper. So for the banner, I didn't do much to the banner. I liked how it was. I just changed the pattern to it. But what I'll be making are ice cream cones, ice cream slushy cones, and I'm just simply showing the items that I'll be using. And then right now I'm going to cut the paper in half, and then I'm going to roll the corners. This was a little bit tricky for me just because I had to make sure the cones were the shape I wanted them to be, and they can fit those foam balls. And so yeah, I'm just making a cone shape out of the paper, and then I'm just taping the corners, the bottom down, and then I'll be cutting around the edge at the top, so then it's more circular shape, and that's going to help me fit the foam balls better. So once I did that, I hot glued the edges, and I used Gorilla Hot Glue on my projects. But once I got the shape that I wanted, that's what I did next with the hot glue. There's probably like another way I can hang this. This is just the quicker way. I just tape some little rope to it, and that's how I'm going to hang them. Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of ways, but yeah, that's how I did it. What I did next was use the hot glue to make a more realistic slushy shape. So you can see my practice one in the corner. That's kind of the look that I want each one to have, to just make it look like ice cream melting or slushy melting, whichever. And before the glue dried, I quickly sprinkled my sparklies on. I call them sparklies. There's a less messy way to do this, and I learned that after my 5th attempt, but for right now, you can witness me making life a little harder for myself. That's okay. So the colors I wanted to use were gold and green, and once I got to the green color, I realized all I had to do was make one pile and dip my cone in. But yeah, for right now, this is what I'm doing. This is my 2nd attempt, and I still like how it turned out, even though I made a huge mess. But I did clean out my mess, and I put all the extras back in the baggie. So here's the simpler way, and it was just dipping it. That's it. I wanted to first show you how they look on their own, and then how they look with the banner. And all I did with the banner was change the pattern. I definitely have to tie the ice creams onto the rope, so I recommend first changing the pattern to the pattern you want, and then adding the ice creams, but then tying those ice creams on. But yes, this is how it turned out. I just placed them on my planter box for right now. I think they came out pretty cool. DIY number 4. Again, all these items I found at the Dollar Tree, and I'm really loving the beach decor that they have right now. I didn't even know they sold that there, but they have a whole selection, and I really like it. So the first thing I did was use Dollar Tree's chalk paint to paint the back of this watermelon sign, and I made sure to completely cover the back with this chalk paint with a good coat. I'm actually a fan of their chalk paint. I use it often, and I haven't had any issues with it. While I was letting that dry, I worked on my metal wreath. I took the nautical rope and I unraveled it to make 3 nautical ropes. Now this kind of magic you can see me do in my first video. I'm just saying, if you want to check that out. Now, I'll be forming a fishtail braid. At least I think it's called a fishtail braid. Or at least I like to call it a fishtail braid. Basically, I started with the outer circle of this wreath form, and I start by going over, under, to the other side. So over to the other side, under, and then go over, and then to the other side, under. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing in this video. I'm not super good at explaining it, but yeah, just watch me do this. It's a little messy. It is a little messy, I'm going to be honest, because the nautical rope, like whatever it's called, kind of gets everywhere, but it is kind of a tedious process, but it does look really good. The outcome looks really good at the end. So I did hot glue the ends of the rope. I would leave a little extra rope at the end so I'd be able to hold it down while it's drying. This is how it turns out, and then I did the same thing to the inner circle, just on one side, because the other side will have the decorative rope. And I did the same thing with the decorative rope. I unraveled it and I did the fishtail braid thing, but with 2 pieces of rope. And I also hot glued the ends. This is how it turned out. I think it's really pretty. Now I'm going to hot glue the edge of my sign, and it actually fits perfectly with the inner circle of the wreath. So I made sure to put a lot of hot glue, and when I did glue it, I wanted to make sure to hold it down while the glue dried, and then I put more glue where I see needed more glue. So yeah, you really want to make sure to hold it down while it dries, because then it's just going to pop right off. And I used Gorilla Hot Glue for this project, just in case you were wondering. So side note, my daughter had a cute idea of making this into a reversible sign. I really love that idea because I think the watermelon sign is really cute. So I think that's what I'll be doing with this, is making the back a little more fancier too. So then it would be a reversible sign. So the anchor that I'm using, I just hot glued that. And then I hot glued the starfish. The starfish came in a 3-pack. And then I used chalk to just draw the waves. So this is how it turned out. Hope you like it. DIY number 5. So everything is from the Dollar Tree aside from the flowers. The flowers I didn't end up using. I changed my mind on that. But I saved this project for my last project because it's my favorite one. So it's a large sign too. So this rod I got from Walmart. I just measured how long I wanted it and then I made a cut. And then this white paint is from Walmart, and I'll be painting the flip-flops. So first I wanted to paint the back of this board with the chalk paint from Dollar Tree again. And this is the same bottle that I used from the previous project. And I just completely covered the board with chalk paint. Now for each flip-flop, I'm going to write a letter, and I'm going to end up spelling out the word summer. So I didn't end up going with the flowers. I ended up going with seashells and starfish, and I hot glued them on, but I ended up tying them on with nautical rope instead because the hot glue didn't last long. It ended up popping off and it didn't work with the seashells. But this is how it would look without the nautical rope. This is how the starfish look with the nautical rope, and then eventually I ended up tying the seashells also. So up next is I did use chalk to write out the word vacation, and then I erased it so you could just see the outline of the word vacation, and I wanted it that way so then I can go back and paint it. So I used the white acrylic paint to paint the word vacation, because chances are we all need a vacation, right? So I didn't want to make the word perfect looking, I wanted to make it look fun looking, and I think I accomplished that. I ended up using the duct tape from the Dollar Tree, and I don't recommend it, it's really flimsy. I am going to go back and use actual duct tape, but temporarily I used Dollar Tree duct tape, and I duct taped the flip-flops to the sign, and then to give it a stronger hold I hot glued the bottom of the flip-flops to the sign, and I held that into place until it dried. Once it dried, I then hot glued a nautical rope around the sign to give it more of like a beach vibe. And then I hot glued some seashells because I didn't have enough nautical rope, it didn't reach the entire sign, so whatever space there was, I put the seashells. And then I did duct tape the flip-flops to the rod, and that's going to be where I'm hanging the sign, but I am going to go back and get actual like Gorilla duct tape. I did tie a rope. This is going to help me hang my sign like so. So this is how it turned out, and this is before I tied the nautical rope around the seashells. I think it looks so cute, and it's a big sign. So here is how it looks with the nautical rope. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. My dog is barking at the neighbors right now, so I'm gonna have to go and take care of that. Get her inside because she's a princess. And thank you again for watching. Bye bye.